You're tuned into Inside Lowell. Inside Lowell podcast brought to you in part by Washington Savings Bank, serving the greater Lowell community for over 130 years. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. Reverie 73, Lowell's #1 cannabis shop. Elevate your cannabis experience at Reverie 73. Hafner's, heating and cooling homes and businesses for nearly a century. Hafner's, it kicks. And by Boston North Company, restaurant and retail solutions for your business. That's Boston North. And now, time for another Inside Lowell podcast. Inside Lowell. If Lowell is your home, this is your place. Hi, and welcome to Chamber Chat here in the beautiful Inside Lowell studios. I'm Danielle McFadden, president of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce, and I'm so excited to have Scott Hyder here with me from Hidden Battles.
I know, it's been a while.
It has. We were chatting off air for quite some time.
Yeah. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about now, though, because I think we got it out of our system. Yeah. Well, it's great to have. Thanks.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have a big event coming up.
We do. And it just seems that, this is when we always talk, when I have a big event coming up.
And there's so much that happens in your organization. So we'll have to have you on more frequently, but this is the event.
So yeah, it's our 7th annual Pitch for Prevention of Suicide Cornhole Tournament and Family Day. So originally we started this when nobody was doing cornhole tournaments, but now it's the thing, and it's hard for us. But so what we do is we have a cornhole tournament, and it's at the Bundy Club on September 23rd. And you only pay to be in that, in the cornhole tournament, because there's a cash prize. So other than that, we have a big family day, and it's awesome because it's free food. Everything's free. We have our drinks are donated to us by Pepsi. The food's donated to us by local vendors and supermarkets and, stuff like that. And then we have touch trucks and kid zones and stuff, and it doesn't cost anything. So realistically, what our whole purpose is try to engage the public to come out, because we have a lot of our local heroes, our first responders, our veterans, our trauma medical staff that are there, and people get to engage in them when they don't need them. Because that seems to be the only time that we engage in police officer and fire. Fire and police, the police, you deal with them when it's not a good circumstance, right? The nicest people deal with the police in their worst times, And so when you're dealing with them in a different setting, when they have a cruiser there and the kids can get in and out of the cruiser, it's a better atmosphere, and it makes the police feel better because they're dealing with kids on good terms, right? And they're all our local departments. So we have that going on in jump houses and stuff, and it's just a big family day, and it's free and it's engaging.
You're gonna have the raffles again?
Yeah, we always have the raffles. That's where we make our money.
Raffles.
I know. Well, we steal your ideas, not gonna lie. Well, the thing is this. All of our programs are free. Last year, we did 110 programs to include, we have a support group.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's
why don't
needed.
you kind of backtrack and talk about why you founded the organization, how you founded it?
Yeah, so I founded the organization. So back in 2010, we were at Police Memorial Week, and I'm a retired police officer, and we were at Police Memorial Week because Tingsboro police officer Jack Georges was he was put on the police memorial wall down in DC. So we went down there. And when we were down there, we had gotten news that one of our coworkers had taken his life. And at the time we were shocked, no way, this is the happiest guy on the planet, and we said, well, we got to do something. So we started to get engaged with suicide prevention. We did a big fundraiser, and we raised money for AFSP. And then I started doing local speaking. I would go in and talk to kids at high schools and stuff like that, just about bullying. And like I said, at the time, I was a public safety and traffic officer for town of Westford. So it was kind of in my wheelhouse anyway, talking with kids. And 2 years later, my brother had taken his life. My brother's a retired correctional officer. But once again, the happy-go-lucky guy, what's worrying him? So one night I was up and it was really bothering me. And I said to my wife, Leslie, I said, we got to start doing some things. Just talking isn't enough. We really got to engage people. So I continued to do fundraisers and overnight walks and rallies and stuff like that to try to bring awareness and try to help people. So in 2017, I was injured in a police cruiser accident, and now I was on my back, and now all my stuff was coming out. And where everybody thought I was happy-go-lucky, I really wasn't. My depression was kicking in, and I have a lot of post-traumatic stress from being in the military, and then almost 20 years as a police officer, and then adolescent trauma, and it's like this whole big giant mental health storm now is sitting on me because I'm not doing anything. So I have a neck surgery. I'm sitting on my back, not sure what's going to happen with my career, if I'm going back to work or not going back. So I started start to sink. So being a police officer, I worry about fit for duty. And this is 2017, and things have changed so much since then. So I reach out to one of my Army buddies who I know I can trust, and I said, hey, what can I do? I'm not doing well. He says, well, first of all, you got to get off the couch. You got to start moving. You have to do something physical to help your mental. But he used it with a bunch of 4-letter words. And I said, okay.
You're like, so, I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah. So, and Bill's been like a brother to me. I actually, my whole military career, we followed each other all over the world. So it worked really well. So I started to do rucking, and rucking is hiking. It's a military term where you just throw stuff in your backpack and you walk. So living in Lowell, not far from the boulevard, I would throw my rucksack on, and I had a young son at the time. And I still have a young son, but I would push him in the stroller, and I would go out for like 10 miles. And I would come back, and I started really feeling well. So then I said to myself, you know what? There's got to be more. This just, like your mom says to you, there's no one like you in the world. Well, they're liars, because there are many of us, right? There's 20 Danielles out there. Like there is, there's hundreds of Scotts out there. So I reached out.
20s of me, but hundreds of you.
Yeah, I'm a little more damaged. So what I did was, I'm just saying you're more unique. I don't know what to tell you. So what I did was I started reaching out on social media and veterans groups, and I was like, and I literally put it out there. I just didn't care. I said, listen, I am struggling. This is what's working for me. And I put a little backstory of my brother, and I'm like, I found my brother, everything else. We're best friends. I said, and this is what I'm doing, and it seems to help. So after 6 weeks of rucking, I actually had like 20 veterans with me, and we were meeting.
Incredible.
Yeah. So I was like, this is a lot bigger than I think it is.
Yeah.
So in 2017, it was in June. Leslie and I said, well, why don't we do a fundraiser? We'll raise some money. We'll do a scholarship program in lieu of my brother. And we'll say, this is, for somebody going to mental health or first responder. So right off the bat, we went to Greater Lowell Community Foundation. We're like, this is what our idea is. And Jay said, oh, that'll be great. Like, okay. Like 2 days later, we had an anonymous donation, huge donation. And me and Leslie looked at each other like, what do we do with this? Like, this is more than a scholarship. And we like to get as much as we can for the dollar. Yeah. If we were to have a scholarship, we would only help one person, right? We're thinking. So this one student would go on, and then they would choose their path, which would impact, the community. But I said, let's do more. So she said, why don't we do programs? So we started to do some research on programs that help with mental health. And we started to, right off the bat, we started doing couples cooking classes. We started doing art therapy. We started doing family days for kids. So what our thought process was, let's take care of the individual, and then we'll take care of their support system, whether it's a husband, a wife, a partner, best friend, mom, dad. And then the biggest people that are affected by our post-traumatic stress, get secondary post-traumatic stress by us bringing home the trauma with us, would be the family. So like, why don't we do family stuff? So we figured, why don't we just eliminate all the reasons? Because people with mental health issues always find a reason. We put more effort into finding a reason not to do something than we do. And, I can't afford that. I have a family of 4. I can't afford that. Well, you can, because we just took away all the cost.
All the barriers. Yeah.
Yeah. So we eliminate the doubt. We eliminate the excuse not to. So we were doing trips to Canopy Lake Park. We were doing the spinners when we were here. Now we do the Fisher Cats, but it's not as successful because the spinners were awesome, right?
The spinners were awesome.
So we would do that. We're doing couples cooking classes. We're doing art therapy classes, and we're doing all these great things.
You do a lot of
and Chunkies, yeah. So Chunkies. Yeah. And the thing about Chunkies is this: when we get there, so we're all basically the same family dynamics, right? We're all the dad who just sits there until like the fuse ignites and then dad explodes. But mom's the one who's always rounding the chickens up and keeping them around, right? That's the demographic that we are. So when we go to Chunkies, we take over Chunkies, and there's kids running everywhere, and nobody cares. It's because it's all us.
Yeah, and then you're like a big family at this point too.
Yeah, so and that's what we've actually come into. We've actually created our own community. Yeah, Hidden Battles is a community, and we're all local community. We're not, we're Merrimack Valley in southern New Hampshire, and it's awesome because we're very tight knit. People are like, oh, you're going to go national? No, I don't want to go national. Yeah. Just because I do other organizations. I mean, do other parts of the country need that? Yes, but I like this.
And that's why they're saying that, because it's such a unique model, and it's just different and successful. I have the chills when you're talking about
the thing is this,
doing.
when we first started, and we still do this, we go to like anything we're invited to. Like I was just telling Teddy, we were invited to an event where I drove like an hour and a half out to this event, and it was just like, all right, I'll go. It's kind of a favor. A friend of mine had a business and he was having an open house, and I found a veteran who was not doing good at all. And his name's Andrew, and they've done stories on us. And Andrew was not doing well. And I saw him walking towards me, and we wear, as you can see, we wear memorial bracelets. A lot of veterans wear memorial bracelets. And I saw he had 3 on, and I was like, ooh. And I said to him, how you doing? He goes, living the dream. And I'm like, no, seriously, how you doing? And this guy, Andrew's like 6'2", 6'1", and he's a bear. He's just a big boy. And he just started crying. And I'm like, okay, he's not doing well. So after about an hour talking with Andrew and his wife, Kenzie, I ended up reaching out to different organizations that I knew, and I got him into a couple really good programs. Andrew's doing great. They are expecting their little boy coming up, which we don't know the name. He won't tell us, but
Scott, so, I'm sure.
I was saying Andrew too. But like we go to these things because we want to find our Andrews. We want to find those struggling that just need, an ear.
Yeah. And you're such a comfortable part. Like you're just so approachable.
It's relativity. Like I can relate and I'm relatable. Yeah. I mean, like I said, 10 years of the Army, almost 20 years as a police officer. And then I don't come from, this plush little background. I grew up in the projects, and there was 7 of us living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Like, so I'm relatable because of the fact that I've done a lot, and I'm, I don't think I'm better than anybody, and we've surrounded ourselves that way. And by us going to all these different events, we meet different people that may not have, met them at the normal place. So when we hold all these different diverse programs, we draw different people out, and we draw out different, peak interests.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, because if somebody was to say, because we just did fly fishing, and that was a huge success, and a lot of people wanted to try fishing, but they didn't know, they didn't have the avenue. That's a very expensive sport to get into. So by them trying, it's like, I really liked it, or no, it wasn't for me.
Right. Yeah. Before making an investment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we do that. But if people like, hey, crocheting's the thing, I would like, all right, let's find somebody to run that class, and we'll do crocheting. Like, if I'm not the be all end all. If it works for somebody, then why not try it?
And you have such a great network at this point that you can find somebody for virtually anything that you're.
Yeah. And the thing is this, and like I strive on the fact that like I have a Rolodex, and people, well, our audience knows what a Rolodex is, but like the younger kids are like, what's that? But it's literally like if someone has come to me and say, you know what, I'm not doing well with food. I need money to help me with food. I'm like, oh, instantly, this organization will help you. Tell me that I called. Because that's what it's about. We all need to help each other out. We all need to pick up the slack and help, our first responders, our veterans, and, that community, those people that put themselves second to strangers.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you and Leslie are quite the team.
I'm going to say that she's 95 and I'm like 5%. I come up with the crazy ideas and I sell it to people, and she realistically makes it all work in the background. We are a good team. The way that you work together, though, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, to think when did you found the So 2017.
I mean, that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who you are. I mean, it's an incredible story.
And it was like fake it till we make it. We were making things up. Like I was just talking to Teddy earlier, like our podcast and our radio show and stuff. And it's just other medias for us to get out there and spread the message. And none of us went to any schools. We just figured it out watching YouTube videos and talking and, just creating the dumpster fire that we have. And, and it seems to work. And I think that's a lot of the allure of us, is that we're just normal.
Yes. And so approachable. And having a podcast is a way for you to reach people, though you talked about, people are saying go national, but that's a way that you can reach people anywhere. They can listen.
And thanks to social media, it's like, so like so my podcast, we have a couple of people from Australia that listen in. And I think that was because I was reached out to by an Australian radio station that said, hey, we want to interview you for Mental Health Awareness Month. I mean, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Incredible. Like, would you have ever, could you ever dream that would have happened back in 2017?
And you know what, that you bring that up is a lot of people that are in the business of suicide prevention and stuff like that, we all have our traumatic story. Like I lost my brother, and that was horrible. And a lot of people say, well, you talk about it like it's no big deal. Well, I've talked about it so much, but I've flipped it. I've hunted the good, as Mike Peterson, a good friend of mine, says, I hunt the good and I try to turn my brother's tragedy into a triumph. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't lose my brother that way, I would never be doing what I'm doing now, and I wouldn't be impacting other people's lives. So in his honor, in his memory, I'm helping other people.
Yeah.
You know, and if I never lost my brother, would I be doing this? No, not at all. I mean, I was loosely involved in suicide prevention for that 2 years, but when I lost him, I was like full into it. You can't
hit more home to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the huge thing. It's like we have to, truck on and we have to keep pushing forward, but we also have to, as we're going along, almost like in a parade, you're throwing candy out to kids, right? Yeah. So as we're going up our path of what we're doing, like my mission now, I'm just trying to help people as I'm going along. I'm trying to get the candy out to everybody saying, hey, if you need help, call 988. Or if you need help, give me a call and I'll meet you and we'll have coffee, we'll talk, and I'll set you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Even if somebody just wants to talk, some people just want to be heard.
And by the right person, right? By somebody that has
it helps
the background that you have.
But even the normal person, just to listen.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And it's hard to just get someone to listen,
It's a beautiful upbringing for your son, Craig, too.
Yeah, he's like
a hidden paddles baby.
He is. He like was so upset when we launched our new website. Chris said, we need to have Craig in there because he's like the ambassador to everybody under the age of 16, right? Yeah. So he's actually on our page as I think it's just like a director of kids programming or something. And he's like, I'm not a staff, I'm a board member.
That is and so I'm like okay. In what 8-year-old knows what a board member is?
Yeah, exactly. So it's either really good or really bad. No, but I think it's really good. And at our movie nights, like he gets up and he tells everybody thank you for what they do and thanks for coming out.
That is so
And
awesome.
He explains to them, hey, you got free popcorn and free lemonade. Enjoy the movie and have fun. And he does it all the time. He hands out stickers. Like he's just super involved. How cool
is that?
And that's great because when we do our family programs, the little kids that are there are now meeting other little kids whose parents are in the same field, and dealing with the same trauma. There's books that are written like, why is daddy always mad? Or why is mommy always mad? Or daddy does things a little different and mommy does. Like there's books about this that specifically target post-traumatic stress and why, our demographic of, veterans, first responders, and even trauma medical staff, why we do different things because of the post-traumatic stress that we hold. So now when you're little kids or with other little kids that live that same lifestyle, it's when dad snaps or mom snaps, it's like, oh no, that's just what they do.
Yeah.
And it's comforting,
Yeah, and they find their people at a really young age, right?
Exactly.
To search for that.
Yeah, I mean, my son has tons of little friends from the Hidden Battles family.
He has tons of friends.
His Instagram is amazing. I don't know.
He's so adorable. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's a good boy. We are blessed. We're lucky with both our kids. So
you guys are. I mean, it's a testament to you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You guys are a beautiful family.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the event a little bit more because we touched upon it, but I feel like I could talk to you all day. I mean,
I think so. We're those people.
We are those people, but also, I mean, your story is incredible.
It is. I don't. It's every time I tell my story, it's like a tree. Like every branch is just something different, and every time I tell my story, I could branch off to a different subject, and I could talk about something a little more. And it's kind of like mood point type of things, but. So our cornhole tournament is great because we have like amazing partners that are like, and all local partners. Like the YMCA is huge for us. Like Kevin Morrissey over there is like,
he's great.
He is great. And we've done projects with him and like circle back around. We were getting calls from a National Guard unit when they came back, and it was a mass National Guard unit. They were combat engineers, and that's what I was. And if anybody's been in the military, understand that a lot of things in the military do not translate outside well into civilian world. So especially combat engineers, because we don't build things like a house gets built in real world. Like it's just totally different. It's just, there's no code. If it doesn't fall down, it's a win. So these young veterans were coming home and they couldn't find work. So I had said to a bunch of my friends that are firefighters and construction guys, and I said, why don't we do like a little job fair for some of these guys? Get them out. We'll engage them, get them off the couch.
Yep.
And maybe they can learn something from you guys, like, and do a small projects or whatever. So I reached out to the Y. I said, do you guys have anything that we can work on? And Kevin's like, oh, we own Camp Massapog. The messed up thing, my brother, when we were kids growing up in Boston, my brother went to Camp Massapog for a 2-week camp. Yeah, because Cambridge owned it at one time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I walk out there and I was
Full
like,
circle.
yeah, I walk out and I'm like, I remember this as a kid visiting my brother. Like, it was weird. So I said that to Kevin and he's like, really? I go, yeah. And he goes, well, yeah, Cambridge is normal. I go, yeah. So as we're talking, I said, maybe we can take some of these little huts or the little cottages you have. And I said, why don't we make them handicap accessible? I said, so now kids with disabilities can come to camp. And he's like, that's a great idea. And as we're talking, I look over and there was a building with birds flying in and out of the side of it. I'm like, Kevin, what is that? And he said, oh, that's our nurses station. And I said, can we build you a new nurses station? He says, well, we have the funds to buy the product. He goes, but we really don't have the funds to hire the contractors. I said, well, I can do that. So over the course of, I say, like 6 months worth of weekends and here and there days, we put together about 40 first responders and veterans and volunteers. And they went out and built this new nurses station out there. And we dedicated it to one of the firefighters' sons that tragically died to Duchenne's disease. It's like MS. So we dedicated it to him. We put a handicap ramp on it. It's a beautiful building. And great thing, no birds, no outside, not inside. But the great thing about it was 3 of the veterans that came got jobs at from working with these contractors.
Cool. Wow.
Because it's attitude and aptitude, right? These guys don't really necessarily have the knowledge, but they'll learn anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're eager to learn, and they have great work ethic, right? So that's what they're looking for.
Which is a hard thing to teach.
So, yeah. So like the why, great partner. We do our support group meetings there on Tuesday nights, and Kevin doesn't even charge us. Like, he's like, no, do your thing. Yeah. And we're working on doing some more projects with them for veterans. So we have them. A big partner of ours, Swim at the Mission. It's a New Hampshire organization that has been partnering up with tons of, they want, their focus for us is the equine, art therapy, and family programs.
Awesome.
So we have that, and everybody knows Ellen, and she's going to kill me for saying Ellen, right?
She's getting Ellen. A little bit better about people singing her praises.
Yep,
because she's trying to inspire other people to give back. You don't have to be a business or an organization to give back.
Yeah, and Ellen's awesome. She's become family, and it's because we're Lebanese, and that's how we met. And we met when Tipper Golden used to have his bar crawls. That's where we met, because his last one he did was ours before COVID. Yeah. So that's where we met Ellen. But she's like incredible. That. But like another one of our biggest, and from the very beginning, like absolutely from the beginning, like I would say like a family member now is Jean Credit Union.
Oh yeah.
Like Allison, but at the time it was Michelle. But like they were right off the bat, like they wanted to meet us. They wanted to talk to us, find out what we were all about, And then whenever you weren't around, Allison used to pull me in to do your show.
Love it.
So yeah, so we're partnered up with local organizations. We serve the local community.
Oh yeah,
and
you filled a void, a very important,
huge need
that wasn't talked about.
Like I said, last year, 110 events to include our weekly group meetings, family support groups, and then calculated out. And these are a lot of recurring people that come, but 1,600 attendees to our events last year. That's 1,600 people in the Merrimack Valley in southern New Hampshire.
That is incredible growth since 2017. And you have to factor in a couple of years of COVID where nothing was happening.
We thrived during COVID. We did really well during COVID. That doesn't
surprise me, because it seems like you guys just take something and you run with it and you're successful.
The thing is this. COVID realistically translated to almost being on deployment. Communicating with your family via like Zoom, Skype, stuff like that. Rationing, not having everything at your need, like readily accessible. It's like so our veterans, some veterans did really well, and some veterans actually sunk into a lot more depression because it was a reminder that. But with our younger, like global war and terror guys, like media, like social media, and then even gaming was such an outlet for them that they did really well because they fell into that. This is their niche,
Yeah.
So when COVID kicked off, and it's funny because one of our most popular events is the 22 for the 22, because 22 is it's a number directly related to the number of veterans on average daily that take their lives. So we used to go to all the local nursing homes, and we would have coffee and donuts with the veterans, because we all know when people go to nursing homes, some families are still very active in the lives of their elderly, some aren't. So we would go, then we'd have coffee and donuts, and we'd start like the inter-service bickering between them. And you'd have like 80-year-old guys yelling at each other, saying how the Air Force stunk, but the Marines were better, but the Navy was better. So we used to do that, and it was funny, and it was good to engage them because it's just, listen, that's how we all are, right? Yeah. And it's like a family.
Fights among the elderly.
No, it is. It's like a family, though. We can all beat on each other, but don't try fighting my family, right? So we were doing that, but when COVID kicked off, we couldn't go in anymore. And I personally needed to do something. So I said, you know what? We have a place at Newfound Lake. I'm like, I'm going to ruck around Newfound Lake. I'm going to do 22 miles. And I'm going to do it I'm going to do it on social media, and I'm going to promote this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And then eventually people like, hey, I want to join you. I'm like, oh, all right. So then I invited like 2 friends I know that could keep up with me and do it with me. And I enjoy the company enough that I could walk 22 miles with them without pushing them in the lake.
Touché.
So the first one that we did, we had 87 people show up.
87 people.
Yeah, just on a whim. Like, hey, we're going to do this with you. I'm like, all right. So we walked the 22 miles. Only 17 of us completed the whole 22 miles. It was November 22nd that we did it on. It snowed. The wind picked up off the lake. It started at 7 degrees. It got to 35 degrees. So we started sweating. Then it got cold again. But it was Mother Nature just letting us know that she was in charge. Yep. So then we're like, this is such a great event. We did an after actions. I'm like, what would you change? Everybody's like, not November. Let's do it in May.
Yeah.
So 6 months later in May, we do it again. We had almost 250 people show up. So we did it again. But we've done 4 of those because of COVID. People needed something to do.
Yeah.
But we were still like complying with social distancing and stuff because when you're rucking, you can't be on top of each other.
Yep.
We did a kayak trip, which another thing was social distancing because if you're within 6 feet of an oar, you're getting hit. Right. So we would.
A good way to stay away from
exactly.
people.
Like this is my area. Right. So we literally started to think outside the box because the mental health issue wasn't going away. It was actually increasing.
Oh yeah.
Like now we have post-COVID mental health problems. Yeah. So, and that's what a lot of the stuff we're dealing with now is, and we've redirected stuff till now. We have our family involvement stuff, like our reconnections, like the family day. That's a huge reconnection weekend. Yep. Like there's studies that show being out in the general public and dealing with people and talking, intermingling stuff helps your brain process trauma. It actually helps you start to process and build on that to go, hey, you know what? I can start to eliminate some of my trauma because I'm going to process it naturally by releasing endorphins, by being and having a great engaging thing, talking with other people, watching your kids have fun with no real stress. So that's an engagement thing. I mean, so it's bigger than we ever thought. And I'm kind of a simple thinker, but we have like a clinician on staff who says, oh, this is why it works. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know that.
I don't think you're a simple thinker though. I mean, nothing about what you do.
It's not simple, but it's a lot bigger. But my mind frame is here, but it's literally what's happening is there. I mean,
the ripple effect of all the positive things that come out of this.
But it's a great day. I mean, like I said, it's free, just free. Come hamburgers and hot dogs and chips free. I think Olay's just donated a whole bunch of chips to us.
Awesome.
Pepsi donated all these. Sam's Club donated water. DeMoula's just donated money so we can purchase that, like paper product stuff. So, what do you have to lose?
So it's September 23rd.
Yep. It's at the Bumpton Club in Lowell. Yep. Right. Was that 449 Boylston Street, I believe. 449
Boylston. Nailed it.
Yeah. Wow. Get that, huh?
And if you want to be in the tournament, you pay. But other than that, you can just show up. But you're going to have a great raffle as well. Are you looking for raffle items?
So we are looking for raffle items. We're looking for anything. If you're a business and you want to get yourself out there, we sell lawn signs. And the lawn signs are displayed that day. And then we display them on our social media. And we have a really great local social media. So, I mean, you're going to get some business out of it, hopefully. But you know what? You're going to get that good feeling that you're helping out your local heroes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, we're going to be doing our raffle virtual too. So if you can't make it that day and you want to try to win something cool, by all means, you can check out our Shopify page.
I've had a lot of luck in your raffles in the past.
I know. Actually, I was just telling Teddy, I won an iPad from you.
Yes,
which I wrote my intro to my podcast on through GarageBand. Because I was like, listen.
Full circle.
Yeah. Well, the thing is this, and we're 100% volunteer, right? 94% of what we have come in goes right into the programs. So I've painted yoga studios to get free yoga for veterans. Like that's how I am. Yeah. Like I believe that every penny that we get should go back into the program. So when I was looking to try to get somebody to write or purchase a podcast intro, and I saw how much money it was, I'm like, I'll make my own. And I did.
I'm sure it's fantastic.
I think it's amazing.
I was listening to a podcaster who makes like millions of dollars a year, and she was saying like back when she started her podcast that they would pay people to do the introduction, but now people are actually doing their own introductions because you get to connect more with the person that is like.
I'm too cheap. I literally I do all my own commercials.
It's not being cheap. It's actually like.
It's more engaging and more personal. It's
engaging and it's refreshing for anybody that is going to make a donation or come to an event to know that.
I also look at it this way. Like if I had some voice actor and I paid the rights to have some song played, that's going to make me go, wait a minute. Like, where's my money going here?
Well, exactly. Yeah. To know that you're not just frivolously spending the money on things and to know that it's going back into programming.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
And it's the running joke is like Chris, who's one of our board members, who's been our marketing director since we started.
Great.
We say it all the time. I'm like, I lose money doing this, but it's in a good investment. It's something my heart's into,
Absolutely.
And it's like, listen, I do all right. I have my military pension. I have a police pension. That I'm not struggling, and I have no problem investing into something I believe in.
Yeah, well, you're doing an amazing job
Thank you. I
for the
appreciate
organization, for the community. We can't thank you enough for everything that you do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hugs from across the
I
table.
know. That's such a warm and fuzzy. So we'll post, when we post the podcast, we'll post all the information about the event,
Awesome.
but it is September 23rd, so it's coming up soon.
And then right after that, we have another fundraiser. We have our October 13th is our golf tournament at Trollbrook.
Awesome.
So, and there's still spots available on that. So, I mean, and this is, like I said, this is how we make all our money to make it so that we have great quality programs at no cost to our veterans and service members and first responders. And like I said, and nurses. Funny thing was, I was interviewed by a national news channel. And at the time, police officers weren't liked. And they found out that we were making care packages during COVID for all our nurses, right? Mm-hmm. So we literally were dropping off boxes at Greater Lowell and at Trinity. Like everybody that was dealing with COVID patients, we were dropping off all these care packages to. And it went national. And I got an interview, and they were like, so how long you been doing nurses? And what made you think of nurses? I'm like, well, I've been doing nurses since 2017 when we first started. They're like, oh, you have? I go, yeah. They're like, oh, who else do you take care of? I'm like, well, I'm a former police officer. And the interview stopped. And I was like, what just happened? And they're like, yeah, our sponsors are not going to like the fact that. And that was it. That was wow.
Like
and
staggering.
I was like, that's really kind of sour. I'm like, these people, maybe, one bad apple doesn't spoil the bunch, but I understand there's a lot of negativity towards police officers at this time, that present time. But that outshined all the good things. And think about this. Our little organization, we made 40 care packages that were like 30 to 40 pounds worth of like deodorant, good snacks, bad snacks, coffee, socks, like hygiene stuff that we were dropping off because people were being stuck at work, like firefighters, paramedics, nurses, being stuck at work for like a week, right? So we were dropping all these stuff off to them. If they put that aside and this went national, it could have had a ripple effect where other cities and other organizations would have been doing the same thing.
I know, it's so short-sighted. And
I was like, wow, that was kind of offsetting. But what can you do?
They obviously didn't go on your website before.
No.
Shame on them for not doing their homework.
Way to research that one. But that's how they found us. I don't know. But I don't know.
Well, you're doing amazing things. If you want to come back on to talk about the golf tournament, you're welcome here anytime.
Absolutely.
I can talk to you all day.
I know.
Thank you for
all
that you do.
Well, thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so September 23rd. Save the date. Here's the flyer again, but we'll post the information when we post the podcast. But I want to thank you all for tuning in. I have a feeling that everybody's going to be asking me for you to come back on really soon. So.
That'll be good. But listen, if you, like I said, if you can't afford to participate in the golf tournament, in the cornhole tournament, fire me off an email, info@hiddenbattlesfoundation.org, and I will work with you to get you in there to play.
Awesome.
For nothing.
Fun. All right. So for all you cornhole players. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And we will be back again sometime soon. Thanks.
Hopefully. Yep.